Robert Lee Myers was born on June 11, 1932 in Clarendon Hills, Illinois. In the late 1930s to the early 1940s, he attended the Mercer Elementary School in DuPage County, Illinois. This is where he would meet his future bride and love of his life, Joanne Muckle. In 1952, Robert Lee Myers graduated from Hinsdale Central High School in Hinsdale, Illinois. After graduating, he decided that he would enlist himself into the Army. In his senior yearbook, he was described as being tall, handsome, and quiet. He also stated that joining the Army would probably help him decide his future. But before he left for war, he got engaged to his childhood love, Joanne Muckle, on October 3rd, 1952. A month after getting engaged, he enlisted in the United States Army November 19th, 1952. By the time he enlisted into the Army, the U.S. was already 2 years into the Korean War. After enlisting, Robert was sent to Fort Riley, Kansas. Here he was assigned to the 85th Infantry Regiment's 3rd Platoon. While stationed at Fort Riley, the soldiers went through intense military training. Some of the basic military training he learned while at Fort Riley included the following: Rifle Instruction Circle, where soldiers spent a good deal of their time perfecting their marksmanship with rifles. Physical training included hours of running, sit-ups, and push-ups to get the soldiers to be in their best physical condition. Hasty fortifications, where soldiers learned the use and construction of individual entrenchment and weapon placement. Machine gun instruction, which provided the soldiers practice of manipulating, operating, and firing of the machine gun with accuracy. Other training exercises at Fort Riley included bayonet training, transition firing, firing the automatic rifle, and machine gun firing. Here are photos of my great-grandfather, Robert, while spending 2 weeks in a temporary encampment. After several months training at Fort Riley, Private Robert Myers went overseas to Korea on May 11, 1953. Tragically, on his first day of the frontline duty in Korea, on July 7, 1953, he was struck by shrapnel from a mortar shell which nearly killed him. A week later, his family received this letter from the United States Army. In the letter, it states that Robert suffered from a penetrating wound of the left temporal brain with a compound fracture of the skull, and that he also had a penetrating wound of the left forearm and the left leg with a compound fracture of the left tibia and fibula. Details about Robert's injuries in the war were written in an article by the Hinsdale, Illinois newspaper, July 30th, 1953. Robert Myers returned from the war on September 14th, 1953, where he was reunited with his fiancée, Joanne Muckle. Robert Myers and Joanne Muckle were married at Bethel Lutheran Church on December 12, 1953, 5 months after he was injured in the war. Here is his report of the separation from Armed Forces of the United States, in which it states that he was honorably discharged due to being permanently disabled. Also within the document were all the decorations, medals, and badges he was awarded for fighting in the war, including the following: the Korean Service Medal with Bronze Campaign Star, UN Service Medal, Combat Infantry Badge, National Defense Service Medal, and the Purple Heart, which is a United States military decoration that he was awarded for being wounded while serving his country. After the war, Robert and Joanne went on to have 5 children together. Later in his life, he had to have many surgeries due to his injuries in the war. One of these surgeries resulted in the removal of his left leg, which left him mostly wheelchair-bound for the rest of his life. Through it all, Robert and Joanne were married for 63 years until their deaths. They are buried together at the Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery. Thank you to every single person who has bravely served our country.